Let me know when we're ready.
I didn't think you were ready to do that.
I know, right? So cool.
How long have you been doing that?
Since
There's
COVID.
at least 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
The last couple of months it's been.
Oh, so that's cool, but,
What is Mary? Did she go to the television?
that's what it sounds like.
Okay, I'd like to call the Thursday, April 21st, 2022 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Rochester to order. Charlie, if you could lead us in the pledge to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Chair Cyrus,
Present?
Mr. Fisher,
Present.
Ms. Vinton, Mr. Stevens,
Present.
Mr. Haugen.
Present.
And then we have our attorney for the town, Mary Lou Christiana, present via Zoom. And myself, the secretary for the zoning board of appeals.
And also attorney for the board, not only the
Yes.
town. So, we start by congratulating, thank you, your appointment from alternate to full membership. Well done. Appreciate it. So, since we have all three applicants present, and this is your first time for each of you, in the interest of time, I'll read you the 50,000-foot view of what our process is, so that you can get familiar with it. If you could just pass this down to those folks too. So typically, the board will meet and hear your application. It generally takes 3 months for an application to be processed, right? The first meeting, you come, you present what your project is and how it stands out and why a variance is necessary. The board will ask clarifying questions of you. We may ask clarifying questions on the law to the board attorney. We may in fact ask you at that point for more information or more documentation, more measurements, those kind of things. Since these are all area variances, measurements are key. Right? If everything flows through during the first meeting, there's typically a motion and an approval to hold a public hearing. At the second meeting, the public has the opportunity to come in person and speak, make a statement either for or against the application. They can also submit emails that we read out as part of the public record. At the conclusion of that meeting, typically again, we will close the public session. And from the close of the public session, the board has 62 days to make a determination. And we know that you folks are anxious, that you're strong advocates of your project. So we try to get that wrapped up as soon as we can, generally in the third meeting. So, since it's all area variances, I've handed you a document that speaks to that. And I'll just read it to you. The Zoning Board of Appeals shall have the power upon the appeal from a decision or determination of the administrative officials charged with the enforcement of this law to grant area variances defined herein. In making its determination, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. In making such determination, the Board of Appeals shall also consider whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variance. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, and whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which considerations shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. The Zoning Board of Appeals, in granting of an area variance, shall grant the minimum variance that it deems necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and health and safety and welfare of the communities. And then you folks are free to ask questions of us as you come up. And it's not just a one-way conversation. So with that, the first applicant on the agenda is Deborah and Donald Lent. for an area variance at 1619 Burn Road. So if you can come up, take seats at the end. And, Andy there. So just to confirm, the application has been received.
We typically don't receive fee until the public hearing is set.
All right, so 1619 Burn Road. And currently you have a 2-bay garage and you're looking for 3. Why don't you walk us through your project?
Well, it's still gonna be a 2-bay, just below
Okay.
10 feet. I got all that stuff.
All right, I'm just trying to find the. So right now, how, you're looking at your, the current garage is how far from the side yard setbacks currently? Is the new garage, you're saying the 19 feet, 19 and a half feet on one side and 19 feet on the other side?
So just add 10 feet to it.
So, okay, so the current setback is 29 feet and 29.5.
Right, because that's a little bit. Mhm.
And is the garage currently attached to the
House? No,
It's detached entirely?
yeah, it's entirely,
And on the back, you have, it looks like you have 98 feet in the back
yeah.
and 30 feet in the front. Is it, that's, so currently how many feet from the front yard setback is it? Because you're looking for 30 feet in the front.
I'm gonna keep it to where the garage is in the front, just go back.
Okay, because that's, okay.
It's not gonna change in the front.
It's because the line that you have drawn here, why don't you pass this down, looks like it's 30 feet where you extended it out a bit more.
Well, so that's the difference between the current, from the current garage to the road.
Right. What's the current garage to the road? How
That
far is
would
that?
be, it looks like 30 feet,
It's 30, okay.
30, 35. 'Cause I never know
Well,
where
this is.
the- Yeah, I know, oh, it has to be exact.
No, yes.
I would take the lesser than 30.
Okay. So. So right now, so you're aware, the side yard setback in that zone, in an R2 zone, is 40 feet, right? And the front yard is 35. So you're looking for variances for both the front, as you're building, and the side yards.
Even if it's an existing,
You're changing an existing structure, right? Are you knocking it down and building something?
yeah, I'm
Right?
tearing it down. Okay. I can go further back. That's no problem.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just the side.
So what is the height that you plan for the garage and for the house? What's the current heights of those buildings?
My house is a 2-story and the garage is only gonna be a 1-story, so
So,
8-foot garage door, I think is.
well, the peak will be higher than 8 feet, right?
Yeah.
The peak will be what?
I have it in, I gave the building plan.
Ah.
Is it on the pictures?
No, it'd be in the building plans itself that I submitted for the garage.
I might not have gotten that from the
Yeah,
code
they might
enforcement
not have
office.
said. Well, it's available. I'm sorry?
It sounds like it's available.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, send it right over.
so, okay. And then the distance between the two buildings, between the house and the garage, you have listed as 5 feet 11
Yep,
from the current.
yeah, it's a wraparound porch to the current side of the garage. The house itself, well, it's a wraparound porch, so the house itself would be permanent.
So the porch to the current garage is 5 feet 11.
Yep.
The porch to the planned garage will be what?
Same.
Same. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes.
That's what,
Okay. So why not stick with the existing footprint in that? Why?
I have a,
What's
I'm gonna
the-
store in a car, it's taking up over there, we do both drive a car, so I really need a wider, longer garage.
So if you went deeper, you wouldn't necessarily need.
I wouldn't necessarily, no. It just makes it more easier to maneuver a car.
Yeah. Uh,
'Cause I'm not putting 3 bays on, I'm just saying two bays. Two garage doors, rather.
Yeah, so, okay, so maybe the drawing is unclear, but maybe the way it's written up. So the existing structure that you're doing, you're staying in the same footprint of that structure? Or
No,
you're
just
going
10
wider,
foot
right?
wide.
Yeah,
So I have extra storage space on the side.
right,
And
right.
I can maneuver a car around.
I got it.
3 cars.
So, okay, so it is gonna be wider and it is gonna
They definitely do, yeah. I think it's 24 now, we're going to 30
got it.
deeper.
Right. Okay.
With a side door and a back for like the lawnmower.
Yeah, you want a man to work
Yeah, well, man doors towards the front.
Right.
But another garage, smaller garage door, I think it's 6x6, whatever I said.
with, for tracking.
Yeah, lawnmowers.
Charlie?
Think I need to, yes. I know where it lives. I drive, I used to drive past it every day from time to day,
And
and I used to deliver fuel years ago.
Clayton?
Side setback,
My what?
side setback, facing the front of the garage, side that setback, we're looking to put.
Yes.
6x6 door, and consider putting in maybe a larger door, rather than locating your vehicles front and back, using that side entry as a door, to eliminate.
Well, that's out of the backyard. I'd have to approach that from the backyard, which is grass and wet. I'd like to keep the cars on the pavement going in and out of the garage.
So there's no way we can drive back there.
It is when it's really dry, but if it rains, no.
Are you saying coming from?
And my
Yeah.
septic tank is right back there.
Okay.
That's why I want to just keep it the lawnmowers.
Would there be any need if they were to enlarge the structure rather than remove it?
Right, well, the whole thing, I'd wanna,
Okay,
it's not in good shape, but it looks of it.
I don't know.
No, I'm holding
How
two
that
sides
would-
of
how
the
that
6
would- Okay.
And I plan on also residing my house to match the garage. It's definitely gonna look a lot better over this.
I'm still on it for right now.
Just have one quick question for me.
Sure.
I think that you answered this already, but just because of the way it's drawn, the distance between the garage and Durham Road is not gonna change.
It wasn't gonna, the original garage is right there. But if I need to, I can move it back. We got plenty of depth, but I just don't want to.
Because if you look at the map, I see a marking, one says 35, it says 35 feet, you think that's about what it is?
I
Your
think
guess-
so.
Your guess is
Yeah,
35
because,
feet.
you know, it's hard to determine where the town line is at the road
Right.
to get it exact. So I said I would take the 30 foot. Because then it would be definitely within there.
Okay, that's all.
So, this is a non-conforming lot, right? Because it's a 2 acre zone and it's a quarter acre property. So there's other considerations in it that come into play other than just the setbacks. So, and Mary Lou, you're gonna have to help me, because I do have one question on it. I don't know if you have your code book available.
Yep.
And that's section 140.42C.
Let me get there.
And what that states is, no addition, this is for particularly in restoration and reconstruction in non-conforming buildings. No addition, change, or expansion of a non-conforming use shall further violate setback and or height regulations of the district in which it's located. However, a non-conforming single or two-family residential use shall be granted an exception to this requirement upon receipt of an area variance from the zoning board of appeals. So to me, it sounds like you need an area variance for this, as it's going outside that the drawing of that footprint. And it's not attached, and it's not its use, although it's residential use.
Hmm. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it really looks like, in addition to that, they have to get a special use permit from the planning board.
I'm sorry, Stan. No, that's okay.
Well, except
I
it
think
says
the meaning is-
accepting, it says accepting for activities provided for above,
Right.
whatever they are, without going back there. Single and two-family residential uses and accessory uses, all changes, additions, and expansions to non-conforming uses shall be considered a special use. But we have the exception of an accessory use here.
Right,
So it doesn't need to go there.
right.
Non-conforming for storage. Yeah, but there is, well, you can't further violate setback except with a variance, and they're looking for a setback variance.
Right, exactly. So
So,
that's one of the one, Jerry didn't note that, but that's one of the, right?
but I think that's okay, because what they're looking for is a
Right.
setback variance. And I think this A, B, and C goes to up above when you're getting a special use permit.
Correct. Like if you
So-
wanted to change the use, right?
So if they needed to go to the planning board couldn't further increase the nonconformity of the setback without a variance.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what they're here for, is a variance.
Right. So I'm good. I just want to be sure that.
Yeah, no, I think we're fine.
Okay. And then the other one was, and this is one that's a little more clear, 140.13D. It says, when an accessory structure such as the garage, carport, workshop, porch, or deck is attached to the principal building, it shall comply with the requirements for the principal building.
Mhm.
All unattached structures shall be separated by a minimum of 12 feet or 1/2 the average height of the two structures. So in the drawing that you provided, the distance was 5 feet 11, so let's call it 6 feet. So it has to be 12 feet as a minimum. For 1/2 the average height, you have a 2-story structure and a 1-story structure that's going to certainly exceed 12 feet.
All right.
Right. So that's another, I'm sorry, Sean.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I have a question. When you get done.
Yeah.
The 6 feet, the 4 feet
Oh.
height from the other structure. Now,
This is, okay,
yeah,
so.
but is it 6 feet from the porch or
yeah,
from the
from that
house?
porch.
the
The porch
porch,
is
because the
attached.
porch is part of the structure. A
Okay.
porch is the structure, Charlie.
Yeah.
That's what
Um,
I wasn't positive.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Okay, so, and then, the last one, and these are all areas, just so that we
Okay,
have,
but what, I'm sorry, I was scrolling back. Which section were you talking about for between the structures?
yep, 140, 13, D.
E, okay,
D is in
D.
David.
D.
She's saying,
Okay.
D is in donut.
Yep, no, I've got it. Now, if they, however, build on the line that exists now,
Right.
which I am.
if they're not, in that picture, it looks like it's going over a little bit further toward
Right.
the porch. So I think that the picture probably should be redone, Mr. Lent, because it looks like you're expanding on every side of the garage.
Well, I'm not.
Right, so, but we have to, in our file, have
Okay.
the plan of exactly what you are doing. So if it's approved, the building inspector will know where it's allowed to go. And so in the future, if somebody has to look at this and figure out what's going on, they match. So I think that we would be okay if when you redo this photo, or not photo, I'm sorry, this plan, it shows that the line for the side of the garage closest to your home is in exactly the same spot, because then you're not gonna be, changing anything.
I think you're gonna need better measurements.
I took actual pictures, so you can actually see where, I think I drew a line from where the existing garage out, the other 16 feet, so I'll tell you exactly. I'm putting it on the exact same spot as the current garage.
I think we understand. I think it's just for our records,
Yep.
it's good to have a drawing like this
Okay.
that is accurate and has the measurement. So if it isn't too much trouble to miss one, yeah, thank you.
I think I just drew that line here to indicate the feet, so I'll just put it on the inside drawing, right?
Yeah.
Right, if you put it going right over the current line,
Yep,
you're in a better situation.
no problem, I understand.
Oh, and then, just to pile on, right? 140-43, use of an existing non-conforming lot of record. The structure may be erected on any lot of record existing at the time this law is enacted, provided no front yard is reduced in size and no side yard is reduced to less than 50% of the requirement for the district in which it is located, or 20 feet, whichever is greater. The sewage disposal system meeting New York State standards, including well and septic isolation distances, can be placed on the lot should public facilities be unavailable. So, erecting this structure also is the same thing, because this is certainly 20 feet, less than 20 feet on both the front and the side. Although in the front, it's not going to be reduced to less than 50% of the requirement. Which is 35.
I'm sorry.
140-40.
43?
Yeah.
I think there was one other section that,
Sure. No, go ahead.
no, so is that an issue for this application?
It is.
Do you understand?
No, I don't know.
So again, it speaks to the side yard setback, which is another way of saying, it's calling out. There's a difference. If you were in an R2 zone, if you had 2 acres of land in an R2 zone and wanted to move the garage, right, a few feet, is different than being less than 2 acres in an R2 zone and wanting to construct the same thing. This piece 14043 is very specific in addressing the side yard setback for a non-conforming lot. There's specificity behind it, and the specifics take precedent over the general terms in the zoning code. So that's why noting the specific items is important for the board to understand.
So what is the specifics I need to have?
The specifics say you have to have 20 feet. You know,
Oh, from the neighbor,
from the property line on the side.
okay,
Right.
I don't.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
You're,
That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
that's why exactly.
That's it. But there's a rule and then there's a process.
Right.
Can I clarify, is it the 40 feet that's
So-
mentioned here, or is it really the 20 feet?
So the 20 feet is sort of, they don't want you to be less than 20 feet from this specific, right?
Yeah.
But in an R2 zone, it's 40 feet. So what they're saying is 50% or 20 feet, whichever is greater. So if you were, you know,
They happen to be the same.
35 feet, yeah, they have to be the same in this case, but if you're at 35 feet, well then, you know, it's not 50% and it's not 20 feet. I don't know why they put it, they worded it that way, because
So
it's
we're
the
looking at
same.
a variance from 20 feet, not from 40 feet.
So the variance in this situation, right,
Yeah.
is since they want 19 feet, is a 1 foot variance,
Right.
not
But 20 is
Yeah.
baseball.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
much smaller than I thought.
It's
is what I'm
smaller,
saying.
correct.
Yes, okay.
Yes, that works to their advantage.
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
So it's a very small
Yeah,
Right.
I
area.
thought it was 20.
Rather than being a 50% variance, it's
Yeah, okay.
5%. Right. However, you know, what alternatives do you have to placing the building where you're placing it?
Can't-
Yeah, but
Wider, just like a building over.
narrower and longer would be better, right?
I could do that, but I'd really like the extra space inside, if I can. If I can't, then, you know, I go by the rules, so I'm.
Yeah. Oh, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah,
Go by
that's
the
why you
rules.
guys are here.
So I think we're gonna need you to go back and get more specific measurements and better drawing of what.
You need height too of the garage? But
I don't
the one
think
I'm
so.
building, it has, I could send you that.
No, that's fine. It's because the height of the garage is gonna exceed the 12 feet, the average, because your house is 2 stories. So
Yeah, so that doesn't.
that's gonna be 20 feet tall. regardless,
Absolutely.
right? So so the 12 feet between the porch and the garage is important.
Okay, I'll make that line. Yeah.
Right.
Is there any other lines?
There's one that I might, that we haven't touched upon yet. 140-13C, number 2, says the accessory structure shall be no closer to the street than any principal structure on the lot. I can't tell from the drawing whether or not it is.
On your pictures, you can. I think the garage is a little further than the house. I think it is by a little bit.
Just a little bit closer to the street.
Yes, a little bit closer to the
Okay.
street than the house.
If you could measure it, I'm sorry, Mary.
That again is something that's already existing. So really,
Yeah.
when you show us this new drawing, make that corner so that the new garage, that front yard corner on the side by your house is
Yeah.
exactly where it is now.
Yeah. so
And then you're gonna be okay because you're gonna already have those 2 pre-existing lines.
Gotcha.
It would be beneficial to bring the new garage back 5 feet, right? Because then you're gonna be behind the house, you're gonna be outside the front yard setback, you should be more than 35 feet from the road, right? And then, narrower and longer is preferable as well.
Can you imagine that you would be able to get the outcome that you wanted, and you extended it to 9.
Yeah, I'm fine if you want to go 5. I mean, I'm all for you guys. I'm just here asking. I prefer, yeah, 10 feet, but if you're gonna give me 9, I'd love it.
I'm sorry, Isabella. Okay,
I was just wondering if they would be able to get the same outcome if they result at 9 feet across the fence.
I just gotta check with my garage builder. I already paid for it, so.
That's what I was.
I don't know if they're gonna be able to lob off, but, I'm fine. I'll try to do it if I can,
That's what I was gonna ask you, whether or not you were using a prefab building that's already.
Prefab building.
Okay, well, that might be a consideration.
Yeah,
Might not be quite so
that's
easy.
easy.
Hard to
Yeah.
cut a foot off.
Yeah,
yeah.
So we appreciate your willingness.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Because if you could do that, you might not even need us. But it doesn't sound practical. It sounds like we present a challenge.
I can call them and ask. If that'll work everything easier.
Work the phone callers, it's just to see,
Yeah,
maybe they haven't started yet.
right. Maybe they haven't. So
Okay,
if I call them and said I wanted it, because right now it's 20, so 29 foot wide and 40 feet long, it'd be good. But I'm asking for 30 by 40. So you're saying
yeah,
a
if
foot
you're
short,
coming off of a foot,
so make it 29 feet wide.
I think. Yeah,
I wonder if they can do that, I don't know.
my guess is they work in eights, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So say,
Yeah,
More than likely,
It's
it's gonna end up
fours,
being
so-
20 or
right, 28 is probably.
rather than
Yeah.
29.
And that's something you would have to confirm with the code enforcement
yeah, you'd have
officer.
to ask Jerry. if he's comfortable. You'd have to make sure he's on board with it. Because we don't want you to go and ask him, have them redesign it, and then have Jerry say, oh, no. this is-"
No, I want to be on board. So I can even ask them to make it 28 yet?
I think the first question is to Jerry, to say, will I still be in, based on this?
Are you guys gonna ask them that or you want me to?
We can ask him.
Okay,
I can ask him. So I'll ask him this.
so if I make it 28 by 40, then I'll need a variance?
That might be.
If it.
That
still-
will be Jerry's decision.
Okay,
Right, because
cool.
don't forget, there were a few things that came up, right?
Right,
So the distance between the porch and the building,
yeah,
the front yard setback and the side. So shrinking it on one side may eliminate the side yard, pulling it back would eliminate the front yard. I'm not sure how he feels about, you'd have to make a comment on the distance between the porch and the front.
well, you're not gonna make it existing in the front, on the
Yeah.
other side?
Yeah, well, if it's,
Right, are you conforming to the existing on the front?
Exactly,
And the
existing,
side.
just the side.
So,
we'll ask him and see what, it's his determination on that. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Is your builder aware of your need for variance?
Yes,
What input did you want for a sheet?
he, said, I'll wait for you then, because they can't do anything, Because if I can't get the variance, I can cancel it.
I'm sure he's gonna wanna
And then we have. a
make it so
falling
that he
down
can sell it.
garage.
He's gonna adjust it.
Yeah,
Moves to make it work.
It's not in business to tell you no.
he said that was an option for me, I'm just saying.
All right, so the takeaways are, I'll speak with Jerry in the morning, and have Nicole get back to you on what his thoughts are on it.
Okay.
But minimally, you should go and update your drawings for the next
Yes.
meeting so that we can see that.
I will do that. I'll send it.
Let's hear what Jerry has to say before you go and start doing that,
Okay,
right? If
I
Jerry,
might not have.
based,
you might have to give a new drawing to Jerry
right,
with the potential
New
new
specs.
structure,
the
the
new
new specs.
plans.
And you now understand how we want the lines, if they're conforming to an existing structure, it's important. that-
I'll just do it anyway. No.
Okay. Thank you.
It's your choice. Okay. Anything further?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
I'll
send it
take a
right to
picture.
Any questions for us?
No, we were talking back and forth, all good.
Good, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good night.
See you later.
The next is Mr. Strickland. So I have a feeling a lot of what we just discussed applies.
Yeah, I imagine it does. I'm very curious about if mine is a non-conforming.
I'm sorry?
I'm curious if mine is a non-conforming lot.
It
It's not
is.
2 acres.
It is. You are, your acreage is listed as 1 acre
Yes,
in an R2 zone. which
Okay.
is 2 acres, so.
because my plan is to be at least 20 feet from the other property. It was less
Yeah,
than
so I'm
40.
trying to find your. So why don't you tell us a bit about?
Sure,
the project?
so I'm building, I'd like to build a 20-foot by 20-foot detached single car garage. If I built it right at the corner of the 40-foot offset, it puts the edge of the garage right at the top of the hill, coming up the driveway, and after the ice we had this past winter, I'm a little weary about driving uphill into the structure.
And you brought copies of
Oh, yeah,
the hard copies of the map for anybody who'd like to look.
I just have the survey, I didn't
Yeah.
actually draw the distance. I've got a model.
Charlie,
put on it. My business. So this is- Size of the garage.
Here's another.
So if I put it here, right here. it's almost right. And what I'm looking to do is be kind of like, this, so have some level area. It does open the driveway.
So this is the rear yard setback. In an R2, the rear yard and the side yard are the same, both 40 feet. So in looking at this, based on everything we went through in the last one year, I think this is the same kind of phone call to Jared saying, look, we're looking at the section that says, so long as it's 20 feet, should be sufficient in a non-conforming location. There's no structure currently in place, right?
And there's a 20 feet to the front yard as well as the side yard.
Front yard is 35 feet, I'm sorry.
I wondered if the exception for a non-conforming lot just applies to the side yard setback or the front yard setback as well.
It applies to both, I believe.
Front yard is about 100 feet.
Okay.
So it's the backyard.
Oh, sorry, back.
Yeah,
yard,
oh, sorry, this is the front.
Less than 50%
Okay.
for the front, but the side and the back is only the 20. And then it would appear on this that you're well more than 12 feet away from the house.
Yeah, I think it's up there.
Any questions? Charlie? You want to see the bigger map?
No, I would double that.
Okay.
And that's what pictures of this. Apologize. So this would be kind of the view. I was just trying to take a picture of what exists or surrounding the area. So this picture is kind of looking this way. This is the view from the house kind of looking this way. It's mostly just woods here. This is looking kind of down on where I was going to build the structure, and that kind of red line is where the hill is. I've also kind of laid out where the garage would be within the setback and the hill as well.
So Mary Lou, just a question. So would it be fair that we're viewing the section 43 as being favorable to the applicant, the specificity behind it?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me pull it back up.
So I think the reason, sorry, just the word, in my view, the reason why they encourage building on erecting structures on non-conforming lots is to keep them from being vacant lots, right? Where it just falls into no maintenance behind it, with this pile of weeds, right? So by giving a little flexibility in it with this, keeps the lot being developed.
And the other
But I
reason,
think,
go ahead.
I think in 2009, they changed everything. Because like where Lens were, it was acre zoning for, they
Right.
changed it.
Right.
Oh, so this was to accommodate
Sure.
because of the change, sort of grandfather people in as well. 2009 football.
And even before that, there were older places, right? You know, before there even was zoning.
Right.
So
And
it was
I would-
part of the compromise. It
And I
was really
would,
a compromise.
I want to tell you that this house was before zoning.
Okay. Any other questions, Clayton? So similar to Mr. Lent's application, we'll contact code enforcement officer, asking for his interpretation related to this on the rest, but I think the documentation is sufficient. I don't think we need additional drawings. So since we don't need additional drawings, what I'm wondering is if Jerry agrees with the specificity behind this, then a variance isn't required. If he doesn't agree, a variance is required.
Okay.
I would like to motion that we hold the public hearing in the next meeting, because there's nothing really more that we rely on for that. So, so either we would have the public hearing next month, or there's no variance required and you're done.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll make the motion to hold public hearing for the May meeting.
Second.
No. So there's. Oh, okay.
For this?
Yeah, the motion to have the public hearing.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Fisher? Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Ms. Vincent? Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Chair Stark?
Yes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you for the work you put into
Appreciate
it.
it. So, so before we move to the next application, I am going to be recusing myself from this application. What the board will do is nominate and elect the chairman, temporary chairman for the application. And at the conclusion of that, I'll return to the chair. Typically, that chairman would appoint the alternate to sit in my seat. However, there is no alternate, so you buy that. So I will recuse myself from the, don't have the agenda in front of me, from the Jacob Hennessy, Reuben, Melissa LaChance Malone area variance. Just come get me when.
I apologize. We had a little bit of confusion about the maps. Do you have copies of PDFs in front of you? Okay.
Some of us. do. Charlie, did you share for us? I've got them.
We've done, you've got 8.
Very happy.
I leave the choice up to you.
If you're, you have the document?
I do not.
Let me see. How about this?
I'll give the documents to whoever would like.
Oh,
I have them all.
does that help?
Just bear with me. I'll try anything twice.
All right, look, we'll all, look, we'll all do this together. We'll all do this together.
Perfect.
I think this is going really fast.
That's called getting
If
older.
it's anything like running a meeting, it shouldn't be a problem.
So the zoning board of appeals is nominating Clayton Hogan as the temporary chairman.
I don't have any guidelines.
Mary Lou, do they need to like vote on it?
Yeah, yes, there needs to be a motion, a second, and a vote.
I'll also move.
So Ken makes the motion. Okay. And then just a regular, vote.
Regular vote.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Now,
apologize.
Mary Lou, how does this work if there's only 4 of us? Shouldn't we have a 5th?
No.
You don't
No,
have that.
you have a quorum.
Or-
Okay, as long as we have one.
I apologize. This is the other applicant map.
Oh, is it? Oh,
There's not a full size map.
gotcha.
So it looks like you're in R3 zoning district, you're looking for variance of conveyance, 0.56 acres, transfer to you. And who's it coming from?
Coming from the neighbors, we purchased the property from them. We're at 32 acre, they're at 24 acre, the adjacent lot. And part of that transaction itself offered to purchase that and convey that additional lot.
Okay,
And then part of that,
how do, what is currently attached to your property?
it's directly attached to our property. It was once historically a part of a larger family property. It was over time chopped up and it got attached to the second. It's only accessible through our property other than the variance through our property, the easement. It's also divided by a creek. So
The natural division.
That waterway divides the property.
correct. And so the portion that we're after is directly accessible, essentially our side yard. So we're here because we're both non-compliant lots.
What's the current size of your
1.2, the neighbors, I've seen listed at 2.7.
2.7?
Yeah, so it looks like right now they have 2 non-conforming lots. One will be a bit more non-conforming after, but one will be closer to conforming, correct?
Correct.
Balance.
So not looking to have any further residential development. But looking to just remain as 2 lots, just shift the, average the land by shifting it between the 2.
Great for that. Yes. So the lighter gray shaded area is the portion that will be that they
To
the
that.
darker area.
Looking to add this to that.
Other way around.
Oh, the other way around.
Light gray.
Light gray. Okay.
Okay, and the remainder of that is the neighbor property.
Question. Other than just simply expanding the size of the lot, is there any particular use for that additional area?
Not not initially, the primary use is just to make it a part of our property, so you can enjoy it along that waterway and then creek line for visual and that area. There is a pad there, which may or may not be, most likely not, given that it's close to the creek and that's all that along with water. An existing concrete pad from the previous
Oh,
structure,
okay.
was a trailer home that is no longer existing there. Really, it's more about us to be able to enjoy and preserve that part of our property. This is part of our land, as well as kind of regaining the historical portion of what that land was. It was initially all part of a larger farm.
No. No.
The area variance in order to go with planning board.
So I guess at this point, we have to set up the 62-day count, correct? Have a hearing? No,
We'll have to schedule a hearing.
Schedule a hearing, and after the hearing ends, you have 62 days.
Okay, after the hearing, 62 days. Okay, sorry, bear with.
But it looks to me, if you folks agree, that you have enough information to schedule the public hearing for Megan, if you'd like to.
Forward, I would think with everything there, the information is clear, concise. So I guess we have to have a motion then
Motion
to
to set the public
set the
hearing.
public hearing. And then a second.
Second.
So then. let's call for the-
Does this have to be a roll call?
No, only seeker.
Let's see, okay. Excellent.
So all in favor of setting the public hearing for the May meeting?
You have any questions?
I guess the only question I don't know if the relevant is provided for your experience. I know they can previously visit the site. We don't, I just didn't know if that was an impact or not. No, it's probably just a conflict. Something very simple.
They're on the side of the portion for you.
As we say sometimes, the possible appearance of a couple.
Right, right.
It could be kind of-
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, very much. Appreciate it. And we'll get back to you.
Okay, so you don't schedule your hearing date now?
On next meeting.
The next meeting
Oh, next
ordinarily
meeting.
On the next meeting.
Okay.
would be the third Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, so it would just be May.
And I'll send you a copy of the public hearing notice as well as the founding owners within 500 feet of the parcel.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so do you need us to provide you with the 500?
Nope, I do that all for you.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Appreciate it.
And enjoy your
Hey.
second, early hopefully.
Clay,
Yes, sir.
would you like me to be at the next meeting in person, seeing as this is something new you're doing?
I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay,
Never
I'm putting it
thought
in my
that.
calendar to be there in person. I try to save a little money for the town by not charging travel time and doing on a Zoom, but there are certain times when it's better that I be there. And if that
Appreciate it.
will give the board a level of comfort, I will be there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
You're welcome.
Clay said he'd write the town a check for that. So
Yeah.
that's what I heard.
They can write checks. I can't promise you what they're gonna.
Oh.
Right, all the checks you want, right?
All right. So thank you all for taking that.
So now, Bruce, you have to unrecuse yourself officially, right?
Welcome back.
I unrecuse myself from,
Do we have to vote on that?
all right.
Have to make a
So
presentation.
procedural matters. The next item is the review and approval of the minutes from 3/17.
I'll make a motion, we approve them.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Great. So just one thing, just make sure we keep on top of the training, because it's still early in the year, so we don't have that rush at the end of the year. We know who we are. So,
Yeah, it's Charlie. No. Really doesn't just do any training. Yeah.
Mary Lou, any comments or from you before we,
No, have a good night.
anything from the board? Any other business items?
Yeah.
Sure.
And you can make up copies of all the things that we're going to be at each meeting, so we have.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate
For everybody or?
that. I would like to opt into that, yes.
Since you're doing it anyway. I had to drag out my old laptop. Fortunately, it's working.
Okay,
I'd
Charlie?
appreciate a copy too, Nicole, when I'm there.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I'm a tactile person. I
Yeah,
prefer
okay.
papers.
It's not a problem.
Makes it easier.
You got it.
Make you feel like in the thing.
Certainly,
Anything else?
no,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
you have a second,
One second.
all in favor? Thank you, everyone have a good evening.
You too.
Bye, Mary Lou.